I was always kind of, when we discussed this beyond, I was always, one of my theses was that we miss a new narrative. The old narratives of religions, they are peasant tales. The narrative of socialism, communism, liberalism are tales of the first industrial revolution. And we don't have yet a narrative for the time we live in. And as Harari is kind of pointing out, humans are story-driven animals. Every morning we wake up, we believe in incredible amount of nonsense. But as many people believe in the same nonsense, it becomes an intersubjective reality. It becomes a deadly reality. And sometimes those stories are stronger than the real world. We are storytellers. So the politicians are not making their job anymore, because that would, to have an idea of the next 10 years, of the next 50 years, would be the job of a politician. So I think it's on us to tell the new story. And we try to find people together and moments, little short stories we can put together in the first collection for a new narrative. So I want to help you on this idea, have your opinion on this idea of how we can get more people into this kind of collectively storytelling.
Well, I was just going to, the last two words were the words I was going to start with, collective storytelling, collective narrative, yeah. That's exactly the idea of participatory media, you know, as everyone, and I mean, it could have been exclusive, but the great thing about, in my view, well, it's not all great, but the fact that there is some democratization of the technology out there is something we should, I think, be happy for. And people should, you know, can enter their narratives into it. And that's why social media is so important. But anyway, I mean, I would go and I would just hope that their dreams, because the dream state isn't just random. It's reworking of memory from the day, and it's perspective. The brain is very good at constantly working to solve problems. I read quite a bit of neuroscience, so it's not just my opinion. So if we can invite people to dream and contribute that, maybe in some kind of collective online repository archive here in your school, that would be a place to start, and then I will shut up.
It's a beautiful thought. Reminds me very much on Hermann Hesse's Games of Pearl and Glass, how the collective unconscious and subconscious contributes to creating a joint story. And I've recently come across an interesting idea that might be true, that if there are enough people who believe in a story, it must be true. Is this how we create myths? And is this how we can invent new stories that become the new realities, or that can drive or inspire new realities? I think we have a different responsibility, perhaps in this time and place, to previous cultures that have had seemingly more time and less entropy at their disposal. We seem to need to reflect and react in real time, facing more and more breaking news and immediate calls to action. So there is an increased pressure into creating stories, to evaluating through stories our relationship with what is currently going on and how we situate that towards the past, which is sometimes about regret, and towards the future, which is sometimes about anxiety. But how do we focus that in wrapping it up in a format of a story that is valid here and now and brings us power?
Yeah, another aspect coming. We had this at the breakfast table, I think, remember, because somebody said, okay, we also have to be careful about like this process. I just want to bring that in as a topic to that this elephant is also in the room, because also an ideology is a narrative, a religion, all that. And of course I see the hunger for that, but I think we also have to be very careful by doing so, but especially when we talk about like a collaborative or a collective or society that shares the same narrative in a large group. So what I saw, I really liked the presentation, by the way, or performance, how should I call it? And this is actually the point I liked about it. This was a narrative, right? And we saw so many, and if you go in the exhibition, you see these bits and pieces. And what I like about it is that these pieces of arts are, in a way, very careful of just going tiny steps. And even if I want to make the big jump, I hold myself back and being careful. And like, as you introduced this morning, the idea of like tiny micro stories that are still like in this room where nothing is really fixed, but you know, still in like kind of liquid state or so. And yeah, on the one side, the need and the hunger for a new narrative, so that I could also like put my energy in like more a focused direction, and secondly, the fear and anxiety of bringing something too fast or in the wrong direction. I mean, we can see that right now, how like a large part of society is stitching together any narrative to give their anger a kind of room and somehow a topic, and I'm very scared also in regard to this process. So just want to make up this being careful with doing so, going on, and how far can we go with this idea. Still, I'm totally with you that this is like one of the major things I'm also, when I'm presenting or thinking about as an artist, I'm working on in a way.
Well, one of the things I always said, beyond is a public conspiracy. Yeah. So normally conspiracy are secret. Yeah. But to make a conspiracy in public gives everybody a chance to know what we are trying to do, and to position. Everybody can position themselves to our ideas. What Vibeke, you brought it up with the dreams. When I was researching artificial intelligence, it took me a while to really understand what they are good at, and the moment I found out what they are really good at, I found out where they are not good at. Machines don't dream. Machines have no imagination. They can calculate, find patterns and calculate. They're probabilistic are good, but they have no imagination. They cannot imagine anything. They have no empathy, no responsibility. So when I think the moment when we discuss a world with more and more automatization, we were definitely kind of reflected what is the most human in us. And it's probably that what machines will not be able to do in quite a while. So I think we are all in kind of communicating with the audience, and we are in education. Don't we have to shift our focus on complete different talents on our young people?
Wow, there's a lot of different thoughts. But one of my definition of narrative, or one of my previous definition, is it's the meaning we give to sequential sensory experience in dialogue with memory, which is also, the meaning we give from that, so it's recursive. But there's also, it strikes me when you were talking, that we're still prioritizing, don't misunderstand me, but there's still this idea of the negation of the physical world, and the negation of the mind over the body, and we know what happens, if you ignore your health. At a certain point, if your body's not working, your brain isn't going to work either. So I think, personally, I think we're not far enough along to where we really can integrate the physical and the digital media. I think you had talked a little bit about that too, for different reasons, the reference to the physical. But anyway, so the narrative, including the dream, you're right, the machine doesn't have the empathy, although you can make it look and smell like, well, it probably look, probably not smell. But all those things I totally agree with. And that's a great limitation, and we shouldn't fool ourselves. And I think that's, for me, one of the big dangers, is there's still this idealization of the technology in a way that worries me. And I'll stop there.